Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Of Mice and
Wolves, ow! This is the comic book show where we go on and talk about potential issues that other comic creators are having in the comic book industry. We try and help them workshop through, and I think without further ado, let's bring them on.
All right, let's start with this gentleman. Mark.
Hello, I am Mark Torres from Came from the Radio, the official show of the Big Apple Con. We just celebrated our 23rd year doing a radio show. You can be heard on WGBB, that's 1240 AM and 95.5 FM in Long Island. It's Long Island's oldest radio station. And I also have my book, Designated, about two warring alien races fighting over a new discovered power source. The war finds its way to planet Earth, and as a result, some humans gain abilities.
Very nice.
Right, cool. Next up. How you doing,
Hey, good. My name's Brayden Viloria, creator and writer of Haven. Sketch Night is in pre-launch. Yeah, that's what I do. Good comics.
What's up? I'm Sean Wood. I am the creator of The Fog Within, currently on issue 4 on Kickstarter. And I also have done Recon and the Little One and have another one coming up later this year as well.
All right, cool.
Very nice.
All right, gentlemen. Rob, do you want to give them the spiel?
I shall give them the spiel. All right, gentlemen. So the way this show works is that we start clockwise. So Mark will start with you, and then we'll work our way around. I guess it'll be this way. And then so each guest will bring their issue forward. The rest of us will ask questions to you to kind of figure out, maybe to kind of clarify everything, to figure out what you've already done, so that we're not giving you duplicate answers or thoughts, kind of like, beating a dead horse. And then once we get through the question phase, we will then all move on to the answer phase, where we'll each give you kind of like our thoughts on how to help you through said issue.
Awesome.
All right. Mark, so what do you have for us, good sir?
It's actually funny because JD asked me what's the question. I'm like, I already know what the answer is, which is sell more books, get more sponsors for the radio show. But he says the question is, how do I get more sponsors for the radio show, and how do I sell more books?
Fair.
I thought you would have thought it through a little bit more between.
Nope, that was it. I know the answer. It's the answer I've been doing for
the answer. Basically, that's the goal. It's not the answer.
Right.
That's the C. It's A and C. I'm at A. That's C, and I got to figure out the B.
Okay, so these questions will help us to figure out what the B is, and what B you haven't been doing. So does anybody have any questions for this one, considering it's very vague? I imagine we all do. Sean, do you want to go ahead and ask any kind of questions you might have?
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one. So what have you done so far to get more people to buy the book? Like, do you have a website, or do you normally do Kickstarters? What do you normally do to get the backers' cons?
So to promote the book, we actually did outside of box thinking. We did a radio play of issue number 1. We performed it at New York Comic Con, and we've been performing it at MCon, which is a convention at the East Meadow Park Library, for a third year in a row. We have musical accompaniment, we have voice actors, we have sound effects, we have images of the pages on the screen. We also did a campaign on Crowdfunder, which is different than Kickstarter. There's no E, I believe. I tried Kickstarter. I didn't like it. We had the president of Crowdfunder on the show, and I like Crowdfunder, and it turns into a store. So right now you can still buy a book, even though I released it 2 years ago.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Now, as far as a promotion, I know obviously you promoted shows. I see there whenever I attend one, you're always there. So I mean, what other type of promotions are you doing outside of comic book conventions and maybe online?
Well, we promote it on a radio show. I mention it every single week. We have an email list, send out the emails. We have a Patreon page. All the basics are there. It's just that what I always find is that the show, which has always been our biggest problem, is that our show is too big for the small guys and too small for the big guys.
Fair. Why is it too big for the small guys?
Because if we are a syndicated radio show, which we are, and you can hear the show in California, and you have a local pizzeria in New York, that doesn't do you any good. We're too big for the small guy. Like, why would I even bother advertising or sponsoring this guy if you can be heard in California? It doesn't help.
So in other words, like you're too small for like local guys.
We're too big for local
Or
guys.
too big for local guys. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that definitely.
And is this a comic radio show or is it separate? Like the radio shows?
Well, the radio show came out of wanting to make a comic. So 33 years ago, I went to a comic book school, want to make my own comic. And then I found out that, hey, if I had a radio show, I can talk to experts in the industry and network and whatnot. And so I did, and the plan worked, except it just took, 20-something years longer than I had intended.
It happens.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Do you ever have like people running Kickstarters or doing comics like that have comic Kickstarters on the radio show?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've had JD many times, and I always tell him to send me people. And we have a backlog of interviews as of right now. I think we have like 7 backlogged, and then I have people come down to the radio station as well. If you're local, you're welcome to come down.
Cool.
Nice.
JD sends you people? He hasn't sent me. That's son of I see how you are, partner.
The issue usually is that most people who have Kickstarters, they want to promote it now, and if you record something now with us, it won't air for like 2 or 3 months.
Sure.
So it's so they have to know ahead of time to book it and then time it out, and it's always a difficult thing.
What they need to do then is have a store like you said, and then promote everything.
Or just do it the way I do it, and just always run a campaign.
This one's over. Go to the next one.
Yeah.
Just keep it
Oh man. Okay, so all right. You've tried different crowdfunding. You've tried reaching out to other indie creators. Do you have an email list that you've been trying to collect? Like, do you go to cons and stuff?
I do.
That? Okay. This is a nice question. Which email platform are you using actively now?
Gmail. I just have them sign up, piece of paper, sign it up. I got my little Gmail list. It's funny. I tried, what was it? I forget which one it was. And I was like, I don't like this. It's too complicated because I am zero technology. Technology is not my friend. So I'm sure that's another answer is get better at technology. But I'm really not. Like, you can ask JD. He's seen my phone. Always yelling at me for that sort of thing. So I have 2. We have 3 technically. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or X. And I took a class on digital marketing. This is years ago, and they said to pick 2. So I picked 2, and that's the one that I just kept on, which is Facebook and Twitter. I should have picked Instagram.
I mean, you can schedule things if you have like a. We'll get into that later. Anyway,
you almost did it.
Yeah, I know. I almost got pulled into it, but anyway, that's something for a little bit. Brayden, do you have any further questions?
No, I think that's it for me.
JD?
Nope. I got answers.
Sean?
I mean, one thing I was trying to think of, is there any other radio shows sort of like yours that you could kind of cross promote and help each other? Like, I know like updates and stuff for Kickstarter campaigns in general, we do that all the time. Is there something that you could do that's like that? That'd be something different that I haven't really heard of before.
I actually just reached out to some guys that record in the city. I had never heard of them. They've been around for years. I reached out to them. We're working out a cross promotion as we speak. We're waiting for the email response back.
Very nice.
Nice.
Cool.
Now you should reach out past the city. So, all right. So I'm assuming you aren't the only one working on this radio show and your comic book, correct?
Well, when you say work, I mean, I am. It is my baby, and I get lots of my staff. They volunteer, and everybody got paid for the comic, but for the radio show, they just with me until things get bigger and bigger. And as of right now, the radio show actually is turning like $50 profit. So we've reached the zero mark, which happened years ago. I remember telling JD, I was like, "Hey, you won't believe it, we reached zero." He's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" So. So it's all me. It's all me. I mean, my co-host does a little bit of social media. She's really good at social media, but really, it's all me.
Okay. Is she better at the technology side?
Yes, and we have discussions all the time, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay. Well, then I think we have enough to kind of get you going anyway. So, Brayden, what's your thoughts on how he can get to B over to C?
Yeah. So this was it the co-host, the lady that does the social media. Is it a thing where she's volunteering, and because she's volunteering, she doesn't have like a lot of time to kind of like put into the social media posts and everything?
Correct. So she's like a filmmaker, and she does special effects. She does writing, producing, acting. She does a whole bunch of stuff. And so part of promoting herself, she also promotes me.
Perfect. I think that's a super powerful asset. I would look at hiring her in like a money role. You know what I mean? Even if it's like not a lot, but like if it's something to be like, hey, if you post X, Y, and Z, if we can like set up a strategy, I can pay you so much per week or so much per month. Like if you kind of open up that time, right, that she could work on the social media posts. If she's already like a director, an actor, has all these different skills that leans towards the social media. I mean, you're looking for outreach, right? And if she has what it needs, right, then yeah, I'd look at that.
So that goes down to selling more comics, getting more advertisers to pay for it.
Getting more money for sure.
Charlie.
Sean, you're up.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback a little bit on Brayden's, maybe at least having her set up like there's different apps you can use to set up things for the future. So like maybe like a month of, if it's like the same book, putting it in different ways to get it set up for like the month and different social medias and stuff like that too, just so it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. She doesn't really have to do anything except setting up first. But yeah, I was going to suggest the cross promotion of the radio show. So it sounds like you already got that going. Is there any like radio show cons or like business meeting type settings where y'all are meeting up, like in not your area, but like further out, just trying to reach out to like a whole network of other radio show type things? I'm just trying to think outside of the box.
Yeah. I reach out to everybody across the country. We've actually had some people outside of the United States that we just talked to and network. It's all building over the many, many, many years. So like we're going in the right direction. It's just, was it the snail on back of on a turtle's back pace?
Yeah.
Or is it a turtle on the back of a snail?
Both slow.
Yeah. I think you kill the snail that way.
Yeah.
They have big snails. Small turtles.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay. JD, what do you have, sir?
All right. So I know Mark is out on what we refer to as the island here, which is Long Island, right? Which, it is a much bigger landmass than, let's say, Manhattan, which is an island. But there are a lot of comic shops out there. One of the things, I mean, and you may have already tried this. I would suggest printing up something like some baseball cards, with a QR code on the back, the cover of your book on the front, but advertising your show on the back of the card, dropping, because you got a lot of stores out there, and you could just drop off, just talk to the store owners. Most of them have a little area where they have little freebies, and you could just drop off 50 or 100 cards, and if you need help getting a good price on them, just let me know, because I know a place, right? So yeah, and just drop off like 50 cards per store or whatever, QR code, and then just see where it goes. Because the thing is, and I wouldn't just stop there. I would also go to, like, you're working out of a library, right? They have a freebie spot. There are other libraries. Do the same thing. And it advertises, this is a place where readers go to listen and find and discover new creators and writers and blah, blah, blah. And, you move from, you bamboozle them, you get them in. Right? So yeah, I think that's something you should try, because I know you're in that sphere. So I would definitely try that out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. We just made connections with the Merrick Library, which is 4 blocks away from the radio station. So we're starting a connection with them. This past week, they were just a guest on the show, because they're going to have their very first library convention. So we're starting with that now, reaching out to them. And the cards is something I had not thought of. See? So that's a B answer. We'll put that in the B slot.
There you go.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I could probably talk a little bit more about what I was going to say about the Instagram thing, and then I have email advice. So I also kind of have con advice, because being radio, you can do one, if you can't get into like Artist Alley or whatever to sell your books, you can go in as a media guest to not just local shows. Like you can go to like any show as a media guest, and then you can like hand out your card. You can plug, you can go to like guys like us and say, hey, if you want a radio spot or a sponsorship, like spread that out farther. So that's something you have like the benefit of that the rest of us don't. But yeah, as far as like the Instagram thing, so yes, having a Twitter and a Facebook is great. But if you also have like a business page set up through Facebook, you can schedule to both Instagram and Facebook at the same exact time and only doing it once. So you just go into the business back end, and when you're doing scheduling through the calendar, you just check Facebook, Instagram, boom. Then you're doing 2 things at once. So I definitely highly suggest that, because that'll, help with, the whole Instagram thing without having to rethink, the whole process. And as far as like email stuff goes, I would suggest getting off the Gmail side of things, because that doesn't look as professional, especially if like somebody was emailing me from a Gmail. I would be like, is this one of those spammers or what? Because I get spam Gmails all the time. So you kind of want to have like a legitimate like business email address. Do you have like a website? I guess that's a question.
Yeah, we use GoDaddy.
Okay. Well, then so with GoDaddy, they usually have like a free email with the hosting. For most of their packages, I don't know like what their lower ones are like. At least they used to have like 1 or 2, free email things. And you could either hook it up to your phone so that you don't have to like log into their thing all the time, or you can set it up through like Outlook or whatever on your computer. But that's something that you could like then also take that domain name that you're using for your email, use something like MailChimp or was it ConvertKit? It's now Kit. I believe that's what it's called. Any kind of like, like a mail platform that you can then set up welcome messages and freebies or any kind of like, automation is very helpful, because once you set that up, then you can kind of just walk away, as long as like the stuff is kind of evergreen. Like if it's kind of like for that moment, you might have to go back and change it. But if you have a generic, like, welcome offer, like they can download, a few episodes or, or a free comic or whatever. People tend to like sign up for that kind of stuff. But again, like I said, having that professional look, and then having, that tool at your to be able to kind of build, when you go to cons, then like there's ways to like, you can have them sign up with a QR code, takes them to your sign up page. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to have them write it down. You don't have to then try and figure out, oh, did I spell their email address right? Or did they spell their email? You know what I mean? Like that's a big headache gone right there. Nothing worse than getting that email and then it not working.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, those are all ways to kind of help you build that audience base. It's a little slower, but one step at a time. Is kind of like what we got to do in this kind of situation.
Yeah, 100%. That's been doing it all these times. We have moved the needle. This will move it a little more.
Exactly. Yeah, and if your co-host is technologically advanced than you, then have her figure the email stuff out.
Yeah. Well, we can always set it up and then explain it to you.
That too, yeah.
And take notes, step by step notes. That's what I would do.
For sure.
Right. So, Mark, did that help somewhat?
It did. Yes, it did.
Okay.
The changing the domain name, I got to figure out not changing the name to get that email.
Mm-hmm.
Take it to the next level. Trading cards, having the automatic posting. I had to play around with Facebook without deactivating my account. So if you don't see me for a while, you'll know what happened.
Right. You did it. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. So who's next? Brayden?
Yeah, that would be Brayden in the clockwise position.
There we are. Yeah, my question, how, and actually, this is great for JD. How to do comics faster is my question. So in terms of doing like a fully kind of done comic with color, I want to try and aim for like a month and a half completion rate, but right now I'm just doing like 2 pages a week.
Right. Okay. Well, we got to start with questions. I can't just start answering, or else Rob will get mad at me. So my question to you is, all right, one, how many scripts is your story complete? That's my main question. So if it's a 4-issue limited series, or the 4 issues complete, or if it's a one shot, so on and so forth, there's a graphic novel, is your story complete?
Yeah.
In your head.
Fair enough. So I have a lot outlined, but in terms of like actually complete, I have like the first 2 issues working on the 3rd issue. In terms of like script wise.
Okay, that's fair. The other thing is here's the dangerous one, and Rob can attest to this. I'm sure everybody else can too. It's like, your war chest, right? How deep does that go, right? Because that's because you don't. Everybody likes to eat every now and again, and we don't like roofs over our heads. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I work for a living. I don't have endless wealth or anything like that.
Right.
But I would say what I've tried to do up to this point is set it up so that when one Kickstarter is done, the next one is like halfway. So like say for instance with Haven, when I put it up on Kickstarter and it was like getting done, I started Sketch Night, and by the time the Haven Kickstarter was done, then Sketch Night was at like page 10, I want to say. So I've been kind of doing it like that, but I'd like to kind of set it up where it's at a faster pace, and I can kind of go, okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3 kind of thing.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I gotta wait to answer that one. So.
Mark, do you have any questions for Brayden?
Yes. Do you write do you do everything, or do you have it outsourced?
So I write all of my stories, and then I work with like artists, letterers, colorists.
So then the speed also has to deal with them as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
the question
Sure.
is, how do you make them go faster in addition to yourself?
Well, I assume pay more money.
Not necessarily. Remember, what's the rule of 3? You can get good, fast, and cheap, but you only get 2 out of the 3.
That's it.
Fair.
The rule.
And sometimes you can only get one.
That's fast.
Mhm.
And how long? So, I mean, in the old days, and correct me if I'm wrong, the average was 1 to 2 pages a day. If you're working 24/7 as you're the artist, whatever. So, I mean, you can only do so much. I mean, was it John Byrne famously used to be able to do 78 pages a day, but he was doing everything, and he's John Byrne.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's a lot of time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's one of those things where everybody has a day job, right? Like I think just kind of at the level that it's at, right? And finding a way to work with these artists where we can kind of do a little bit more than 2 pages a week and kind of speed things along.
Okay. Sean, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so with Sketch Night, is it like a one penciler, one inker? Is it all digital? Is it do you have a colorist separate? Are they doing the coloring themselves? Because some people do it all, some people just do one.
Yeah, so specifically for my artists on Sketch Night, they're doing everything. So that'd be pencils, inks, colors.
Okay. Do they have their own flatter? So even some people that'll do the colors as well themselves, they'll have a flatter outside of them that will do all that part ahead of time, so they can just knock out the colors.
They can
Do they have that as well, or
no, I don't think so. Which actually, that's a really good point, because if they can just kind of like hit the colors, I find take a lot more time than the blacks and whites.
just depends. What else? That's all I have at the moment, question wise.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to ask. It's pretty straightforward. JD, are you good?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I got answers.
All right. Well, let's let our guests say their piece first.
No, they got the stage. They got the stage.
All right. Mark, what good advice do you have for Brayden?
Oh, good advice. That's what you.
Yeah, about good advice, sir.
The advice I had was, stick a pin up their butt to get them moving faster. Poke them a little more. But maybe to try to spread out the work to different people, so that way you get more stuff done faster. It's like an assembly line, instead of having one guy do everything, which might be what you really like, or might be what you're able to afford. But if you're able to take that money and spread it out to try to get them to do, 1 page at a time, this guy's working on the pencils, this guy's working on the inks, it might help a little better to make things go a little faster. Because as Rosario just said, you can only go as fast as you can go. So the only way to make things go faster is to spread it out more.
Very fair.
He's busting the balls. Speaking of which, when are you coming on here, Jay? When are you going to be a guest? Okay. Sean, do you have?
Well, Jay's perfect, and he doesn't know how to take advice. That's his problem.
I have great advice for Jay. Don't make action figures.
Oh,
Awesome,
I plead the fifth.
No, I'm kidding, Jay. The figures look great. I want to make them too. You know this. You and I've had this conversation. It just sucks that it costs so much.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. Sean, please. Save us.
So do you have the ability to do like the war chest and everything? Do you have the ability to do like an issue of Haven at the same time as Sketch Knights? I know you said you want to do 12 issues of each, right?
Yeah,
I think
12 issues of each.
so. Like at least starting out maybe on both at the same time.
Yeah, I think I could probably swing it. With the way that Sketch Night is popping up now that we're getting on issue 1, I feel like funds with that. I could probably do both kind of side by side. But the flatter thing is I think is super great. I think I'm gonna look into that because if someone can flat those colors and then it just speeds up that coloring process, then we just have to wait for black and whites.
Yeah. And I know Rob and JD might know a little bit more on this, but flatters, I think they're what, $10 a page, $5 a page, something like that.
Right?
Yeah, I mean they're pretty cheap. Most colorists kind of have their own that they work with. But if they don't, I mean, you could always ask around who they think the best one is, because some will like flat out make sure every like line has, kind of like a early character, let's say, has its own color coordination that you can kind of like put that depth in already. But yeah, I mean, pretty much every colorist I work with already has their own flatter.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess most often it's whatever they've already negotiated, and then you kind of pay them, and then they pay the flatter. Right. But if your colorist doesn't have a flatter, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Sorry, is flatting, is that just like kind of like the very basic of like blocking out the colors kind of thing?
Very, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Also, just like with anchors, sometimes you just used to pay somebody to have them just fill in the large black areas, and that was a different person than the actual anchor.
Oh, fair.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Mark, pure, clean lines.
Yeah. And Mark, what do you know the term that they call these people who would do this type of work?
Ink assistants?
No, come on.
Peons?
No, monkeys. Monkey. Listen, I've had at least 3 professional inkers telling me, yes, my monkeys will work on it.
Is that right?
Yeah. Now, this was the 90s, so it's a little crazy.
I mean, now though with digital, like inking is becoming like, I've got a lot of inkers asking for jobs. I'm like, dude, most of my people do digital. I don't. Right? Yeah.
You gotta feel like, what can we do?
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. JD, would you like to spread your wisdom now?
I don't know if I have any wisdom, but what I can say is, look, the pace you're doing it at is probably the right pace, right? Mm-hmm. The only way to look, I do it the same exact way you do, 2 pages a week, right? The only thing is I've been doing it a lot longer, right? Sure. So I have a huge backlog, right? Like I got stuff that won't come out for another 2 or 3 years, right? So, and that's just like I said, because I've been doing it so long, and I've gotten into working with a number of different creators or a number of different artists. So I have like at least 2 working currently on the Oswald Chronicles. I'm about to start with a 3rd one. It's just like nuts. So it's and that's the other reason why I ask you, with something like Oswald, I'm done. You know? So I have, I think I counted out, I think it was 43 stories in total. And then these are not issues, these are stories. Some of them are 1-shots, some of them 8 issues, some of them 4 issues, depends on them, some of them 5 issues, so on and so forth. So what I do is I'll find an artist and I'll assign them a story, and I'll say this story, that's for them. And then that's why I was asking how much work, because if you, like, let's say Haven, right? Yeah, sure. You probably want to keep the same artist on the same arc, right? Yeah. So you don't want to switch artists unless you have an artist who's very similar on the second arc, right? But you don't want to mix them in the same arc, unless you're doing something weird with your art. I mean, with your story, where like maybe each issue you'll change characters and you'll maybe work with a different artist for each character. Do something funky like that. But those are more writing experiments, and I don't know if you want to go that route, right? So, but yeah, but I honestly, unless you're working on different titles, right?
Right.
Till you can have like maybe like 4 or 3 or 4 different artists working at the same time on 3 or 4 different titles, each of them delivering 2 pages a week, it'll get staggered out. So then, you release one and then you be able to release the other and so on and so forth. But yeah, the only thing you got to be careful with is your war chest. You got to know, your money management is important. It's something not a lot of us talk about because I think most people are shitty at it. And I think a lot of people are probably in credit card debt. They don't talk about it.
Oh, I'm in debt. I'll talk about
it. Damn, Rob. Where's your wife?
I got no shames. Look, I'm incorporated. I have credit cards for that corporation, and if it goes under, I am untouchable.
No, that's super fair.
That's what you think, buddy. They changed those laws a while ago. Yeah, but that I think those are the things. Like I said, watch your money, be very careful. And yeah, just take it slow, man. I mean, don't rush the process.
For
Because
sure.
because trust me, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. You understand? Just if you do 2 pages, look at 2 pages a week, 52 weeks. What do you got? 104 pages. That's 4 issues, right?
Fair. Okay.
If you employ 2 artists, that's 8 issues in a year. That's a hell of a lot. That's a hell of a whole lot more than a lot of people, man. Let me tell you. And then if you get to the point where you can work with 3 people, 4 people, so on and so forth, you're gonna end up. That's just gonna exponentially grow up. But my thing would be definitely to tell you and this has nothing to do with your question, as a creator, finish your scripts. Try to get as far away from the artist as you can.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm very involved in the process of like sending out the pages and then like tweaking things and stuff in X, Y, and Z. But I love what you said before, where you'll just kind of hand an artist a script or a story and be like, you're on this one. I think, yeah, definitely plotting out those scripts and getting those done. That's huge.
Yeah.
All right. Are you good? So I can go now?
Rob, I'm going to tell you right now. They changed the laws.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure. I know.
If you go into credit card debt as an LLC, they will still tag you.
Oh, I'm a corporation. I'm not an LLC.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So maybe if you're under, was it F?
S Corp.
S Corp. Yeah, you might have more protections underneath that. Because I have an LLC and I know, like, man, they will.
That's so. Without getting too far into the weeds, I have an X situation that I was trying to protect the business from, and that was just a bonus thing.
That's fine. Hey, that's fair, man. That works.
So yes, So incorporate or LLC, depending on what works best for you. And what's lovely about an S corporation, now this is advice for everybody. So LLCs, they'll only let you take a loss for 2 years or so, and then it becomes a hobby, right?
Yeah.
Corporations, you can take a loss every single year.
Oh, yeah.
So and that helps on my taxes because it makes my tax bracket go no.
For LLCs, it's 5 years.
Oh, is it 5 years? Okay. I knew there was a point in which you had to be like showing a profit, whereas like.
But here's the beautiful thing: a profit could be $20.
That's true, but it doesn't help you in taxes, personally.
No. You don't have to pay tax. Well, not that year, but then the following year you take a hit.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I have to pay $20 worth of taxes next year. I'll be paying a lot less.
Exactly.
But yeah, so to get back to your issue, so I work with 2 different art teams on 2 different books, and hey, speaking of the sexy people, so I am constantly like trying to get my own artists like on the page. I think right now I can honestly say I work with one colorist and one letterer that like I don't really have to push much. So I letter Nightwolf, and then Dave Lentz does Snowpaw for me. He's pretty on top of it, which is probably why he's high in demand. But then, you know, I'm not going to kind of get, but like, anyway, so my artists, like, I'm constantly like, hey, missed deadline. Hey, missed deadline. Hey, I haven't seen a page this week. Hey, you know, constantly. And I'm like, it's not like, you know, for me, I'm like, look, I'm ready to pull out that card and PayPal you that money. You know, I'm ready to do that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just what you're on your time here now. It just, life happens. I mean, you know, especially if this isn't their full-time gig and you're not paying them to have a full-time gig, getting 2 pages a week, if you're getting 2 pages a week for sure, that's spot on. You're good. Like, if you're getting 1 page a week, good for you. I mean, really, you know, and that's actually, you know, in the indie scene, like if you're not paying them full time, that's really what most you can hope for. You know, just setting that expectation, because it's no matter who you work with, unless it's somebody who's a real workaholic and really loves the story. I mean, that's kind of like, you know, they got a day job, they got kids to feed, they got this, they got that. You know what I mean? But you know, that's so you just kind of have to like give them a poke, just kind of remember, or, you know, be like, hey, I haven't seen nothing lately, can, you know, check it out or whatever. But that's what's nice too about rotating projects, is that like if you have 2 working simultaneously on one end or the other, then you kind of like you're doing stuff along the way. You know, you're still able to like kind of show, hey, we're making progress here, hey, we're making progress here, and then as long as you have it like staggered enough and then they don't fall short on time, you have the one, then you have the other, then you have the one, then you have the other, and you keep rotating them like that. Yeah, sometimes things fall behind. I've had to do several Nightwolf campaigns or Wolfpack Pup ones since my last Snowpaw one over a year ago, you know, and we're still waiting for those finished pages. And, you know, it is what it is. Life happens. And, you know, sometimes you kind of have to call bullshit on it and come to Jesus talk, especially if it's taking longer than
Fair.
You know, so you just have to bulk up and be like, boom, look, here's the deal. You're 9 months late. This book should have been in people's hands by now. We're losing fans. You're hurting the project.
Yeah.
Do you have a contract?
No.
Do you own everything?
Yes.
So technically you could be like, peace out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You got to say, hey, we could have had a baby in this amount of time.
My baby.
Did Sean answer the question?
Yeah.
It's like I said, I'm barely here. I'm here, but I'm not really here.
Here in spirit.
It's a long day.
Clown shoesing over there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's really, sometimes you have to have that hard conversation. Like, but again, if you're getting a page a week, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
totally.
That's
Totally,
happy.
totally.
That's happy world for me.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, cool. So Brayden, did that help?
It did. Yeah, no, it did. A lot of useful advice.
All right, cool. All right. Dun. Sean, you're up, sir.
So my question isn't a problem I'm having right this second, but it's going to be the thing that I go into next for the most part. So now I've finished my first arc finale, and I'm doing, the issue 4 right now live. And what would be, since all my fans so far, they've been getting, for the most part, they keep on coming back for each issue. They're not going to necessarily get the trade. So how do I go about putting the right rewards to entice people that have already got the one issues, the single issues, and how do I go about finding the new fans or the ones that have been waiting for the trade? How do I get their attention, JD? Like how how would that work? Because I haven't gone through a trade yet. Or like, what are some certain rewards? Like I know, Rob, with yours, you have like the scratch on the cover or whatever, like the claw,
Yeah.
like things like that, like that kind of advice. What kind of price point should I be expecting to put? Yeah,
This is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
insane.
cool.
But like, what should I expect, and how do I bring in those other people into the trade to be able to fund that?
Gotcha.
This is always a fun one. I love these trade conversations.
Mhm.
Does anybody have any clarifying questions? This one seems pretty straightforward, but I want to make sure we know what he's already tried or thought of before we give him repeat offenses.
I got one.
Yeah.
Sean, when you want to buy a trade, what do you look for?
I mean, mainly when I'm getting a trade, I haven't got the back issues, or I, got the first issue and forgot about the monthly that was coming out for the rest of the issues. So I go get it. I know it's always cool to see back matter, in the back of the book, showing behind the scenes, and of course the cover gallery and stuff like that. But that's really all. And I have like on my digital deluxes, I was thinking about putting what I put on those for each issue, put some of that into the actual trade, so in physical form versus just the digital. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Brayden, do you have any questions for Sean?
Are you gonna put do you think you're gonna go like with a new cover for the trade?
So my original plan was to do. I have a connecting cover for issue 4, and I was going to have the A be the front and then the B be the back. The way the image is, it's actually swapped from what I was originally going to do, so it won't really necessarily work that way. So I am looking into it, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do for the cover yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. JD, do you have anything?
Just got answers. Man. Just got answers. That's all I got. That's all I got. I got answers.
Are you okay? So I have a question before we move on. Are you doing soft covers and hard covers, or were you just planning on doing one or the other?
I mean, I would love to do hard covers, but I know, of course, they're way more expensive as well, cost to me. So I would like that advice of how to battle that and have that, yes, option. I would like to, but I haven't decided.
Okay. Well, I have some advice on the dual thing, so we'll get to that. So, all right. Does anybody else have any questions, or I think we can kind of jump in on this one, but just in case, I don't want to cut anybody off.
I guess I will say too, one thing to add. So I have my other series, Recon, the little one. So I have that audience that's not necessarily buying the Fog Within, so they would possibly go for the trade. And then I have another series coming out before I go to trade, to have kind of like 3 audiences looking at the trade and anthology stuff that I'm trying to do too. So that's one thing that I have done. Also, I've got my newsletter for like cons and stuff that not necessarily have gotten everything, but that's really the only other things that I've done.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
How many pages is the finished product?
So the comic itself, like the actual pages, is 96 pages. Huh?
The trade.
Yeah. So the pages themselves
with just
altogether,
the interior.
yeah, just the interior. Yeah. And then I'll be adding to it too.
Well, that's going to be, yeah. So you kind of have to figure that out before pricing and all that stuff, because obviously when you get to a certain price mark,
Right.
Okay.
But do you have an idea of what the page count might be, roughly?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, it's definitely well over 100. So it's probably going to be 112, maybe something like that.
Okay.
It's nice. It's a nice little chunk.
That's fair.
Well,
Okay. All right. Brayden, do you have any advice for Sean on trades, or do you have any trade experience? I guess I should also ask.
No trade experience. Sean probably has advice for me, if I'm being honest. I haven't quite made it there. You
What
know,
do you
like
in trades?
what? Yeah, exactly. What I would say is like if I, got 1 to 4 of Fog Within, right? Which I think I did digitally, but if I was like, oh man, Sean's dropping a trade, definitely like a different cover, like something super cool. Maybe even if it's a cover that kind of ties in like the like each issue's cover together into like its own thing, that could be cool. But yeah, I mean, if you had a sick cover on there, if you have all your behind the scenes stuff like that you kind of did in your digital luxes, I mean, those are all strong pulls. That if I'm like a big fan of the Fog Within, I would be like, yeah, I'd love to like know how this got penciled and inked and kind of see that, or each cover of there. Are you putting? Do you have variants for like your issues?
Yeah, I got 2 variants for each issue.
Okay. And then would you be putting the variants in the if you're putting variants in the trade too, like people may have not gotten right like a cover here and there from, I mean, you got 4 campaigns, that's what, 8 variants, that's a strong pull too, where I'd be like, I didn't, I only grabbed the main cover, missed out on the variants because they're priced higher usually. So yeah,
that's a
definitely.
nice selling point too at cons.
Yep.
Because then if they can't choose a cover and they want multiple, well, then you just hand them that and say, hey,
there you go. Yeah,
higher profit margin.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay. JD, would you like to? Oh wait, Mark. Do you have any advice?
I have an outside the box thought, which is something that we've been doing. Is, for authors, they do a audio book. Maybe as a bonus for the people who have the single issues and want the trade, you can do an audio version of the trade and have the whole story. I mean, it doesn't have to get all crazy. Just get a couple people do some different voices and try that, and it'll be a free digital download included with the trade.
That's one I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
That works.
And you can do some of the voices yourself.
I want to see that. I would pay for a trade to see Sean do the voice.
Doing all the voices.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, I would have fun with that. That would be so much
There you
trouble.
go, eh?
That would be so
Get
much
Rob in
trouble.
there. Yeah. JD Calderon doing some of the voices there. That'd be awesome.
God. Yeah.
JD's like, don't convince. Don't convince.
Yeah. Sean would hate me. I haven't read this story, and I don't know, but I'm one of these people that I'd probably be rewriting lines.
Sorry, I can't read this. This is garbage.
Yeah. What's my motivation?
It was kind of thing. It's like because I'm a tweak. I like to tweak things. I was like, if you drop this word, add this one, put this one in. Now the stance works better. There we go.
Wait, what do you mark up other people's comics when you're reading them? You're like, oh god.
No, I would have done this.
No. If no, I don't do it. I just make mental notes and I move on. That's all.
But
Note to self: what not to do.
But listen, I mean, but the thing is, there are plenty of times that I've read books where it's just like, okay, try to somehow do this.
Oh, note to self: steal the idea.
Right? Yeah.
inspiration.
Right. Inspiration. Yeah.
Inspiration.
Right. It works. It works.
Oh man.
But,
Okay.
but I only say that because I did a short film one time, and I worked with various actors, and
pornos are not short films.
It's not a porno. It's not a porno. It's a short little fantasy film, but it's funny because like every scene, I rewrote every line. It was my script, and I rewrote every line. I would let them speak the line. I'd be like, no, that's not rolling out of your mouth correctly. I would rewrite the line.
So instead of
Didn't
telling
even
the
come up
actors
with
to
a
be
pen and
better
smack
actors,
those words out your mouth.
So these were, well, like you suggested, I got all my friends.
oh, you need better friends.
Well, I
He
did
needs
friends who
better
actually connect.
alcohol.
There you go. Yeah, I probably should have given out some alcohol. It worked. It might have worked.
Yeah, that probably would have flowed off their tongues a little better.
That's true. That's true.
They're a little too tight, too uptight.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have anything before we move to JD?
So yeah, that was
you said
that was my
bit.
that was
You
my
don't have
advice.
anything else to
To
add?
try that.
Okay, JD, go ahead.
All right. Okay. So the one thing you have to be very, very conscious of, and don't beat yourself up over too much, is the people who buy comic books and people who buy trades, sometimes different crowds, right? There is crossover, right? But sometimes there are different crowds. You're gonna have I have fans that they only want my comics, and then I have another group of fans they only want my trades, and then there's the people in the middle who buy both, right? And then as far as so don't drive yourself too crazy with that question, right? Because you're gonna get them, but you just have to just be patient, right? The other thing is the reason I asked your page count, because it is gonna factor into how much you're gonna have to charge per book, right? And if it's full color, it's always gonna be more expensive, right? Then the other question is and this one Rob can speak to, because I haven't printed offset with I printed offset back in the day with some trades, but it was a while ago, and that was black and white. Mostly what I've been doing now is digital, right? And with digital, you can keep them perpetually in print. The only difference is the cost per unit is higher, right? I print through Mix'em because I like the quality of the books. I could go with other companies that also do digital, cheaper, but it's cheaper. It looks cheaper. The product itself looks not as good. So, but Mix'em, they really nice product. So I really like the books they produce. So, like I said, it just depends. If you get a campaign where you're going to sell 200, 250, 300 books or more, I would suggest offset. If you're getting a campaign where you're only going to do 50 or 100 or anywhere from 150 or less, you can do the math and check, the various sites. But anything under 100, I would just say go digital, right? But that's all dependent on you and what you want. And that's also if you have a heavy con schedule and you can sell the books, then maybe you might want to go offset, because you're going to get a per unit. That per unit cost is going to drop way down. And at cons you could do deals. You can say, oh, you buy a con, buy this. You can drop down the book price by whatever. You understand? It's not going to hurt you because you got it for like $3 or $4 per unit. Whereas a digital book, it's not going to be that, and then you're going to have to charge higher per unit cost. That like I'm doing the Oswald Chronicles, My Time with Clive, Volume 2. It's $35. It's 100. It's 96 pages. It's full color, and it's expensive as hell to print. But my fan base, they understand that and they're willing to do it. And for this one, mostly what I'm looking for is my stretch goals are going to be adding pages to the book. Instead of giving tchotchkes or trading cards or whatever, is going to be adding pages to the book. Because I haven't even put it on the because I'm smart. I haven't put it on the campaign yet. But I have 2 shorts that I want to get in that book. And it's all full color this time around. So there you go.
Nice.
So Rob, it's all on you, sir.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you can do with them. Obviously, they're doing die cuts, but that's primarily hardcover. So if going to what I was going to say earlier about hard and soft covers, if you're doing offset, which I suggest, because you can get extra books. I suggest this one because you're saving upfront on printing multiple books, and you're going to have, you'll have your fulfillment stuff, whatever. but I suggest having a nice stock of them. Like maybe, do the print on demand for floppies, whatever. That's fine. That is what that is. But I would find storage space for these because one, it'd be cheaper overall. You'll get a better profit margin and you'll have them at cons. And I'm telling you these days, like I sell more, like I'd probably sell 50-50, but I've been selling more and more trades as the last couple of years have gone on. So it's it went from, floppies to trades to now here I am. Eventually I think it's going to go like this. People like having that big chunk to digest. I mean, streaming has kind of killed people's attention span. They want to be able to watch the entire season of something in one night, So I think that's a big part of that. But like, it's also like having like that, like a big, thick physical book makes it feel more worth it for the price. And like everybody was saying, adding the variant covers. Also, like if you wanted to have like things for the collectors or things that like make it for the people who you want to come back who've already got your singles. Well, I have all the variants. Well, why, they're in the book. Whoop-de-doo. Well, that's when you do like, brand new, pinup art, right? You just throw a couple extra new pinup art in there, along with everything, that helps to add to the nice, chunk. But the nice thing about offset printing, especially when you get to a certain price or page count and price break, you can basically, they'll print the pages as long as they're the same size. Like you want them, like these are my hard and soft covers are the same, like comic book size, but like the hardcover has a little bit more of a lip. But my point is the pages are the same size for the hard and soft. So I'm paying a one flat rate for all those printed pages and only paying a minor difference for the hardcover. So it was almost so minuscule once putting it all together that they didn't even want to break the difference between the two books. Like they're just like, this is the unit price for the whole thing, so again, at that point it's like, okay, well, whatever.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, doing something that makes it more unique, more collectible, definitely have a different cover. Don't reuse one. Have some kind of gimmick, or like a stretch goal where you can have like the nice UV print, and then you have, so like for hardcover, you can charge a little bit more. Like this is 152 pages. It's got the die cut, and the vellum overlay of the werewolf, over top of the human, all that fun stuff. That makes this thing a little bit more collectible. All three of my volumes have like that, or are going to have a connecting cover, like this way. So having, if you plan on doing more, think ahead that you can be able to tie them in together. That also makes them more of a collector's piece, something that people are like, oh, I got to get them all, Pokemon it, So like, just kind of think about it that way, like what's going to benefit you in the long run, as well as make the existing people come back for them hungry. And the new people be like, oh, I'm just going to try that soft cover there. That looks pretty good. I'm going to read this. Or the people who are just like, I like hardcovers. I'm going to take that. You got it's just one of those things you kind of have to, especially with trades, you kind of have to appeal to less people as far as like variants go, because you don't want to do too many variants. Like I said, I think one soft, one hard, boom, that's all you need. But like you still want to have like the soft covers at a cheaper price, but they're still getting a great book. They feel like it's a value. Versus like that hardcover, if you have that nice specialty thing that wants to drive them to it, but again, you don't want to break the bank either. You want to make sure like it works for you, it works for your product, it's branded in a way that it makes sense. Like obviously the clause for me makes sense. You want to make it, like I said, you want to make it a little bit more collectible for the people, especially on Kickstarter. That's what they're here for, really. They're here for the collectability. They're here for the unique thing that they can't find at their, local comic shops. That's kind of like something, and when you go to cons, like you're talking about your book, if you have them in bag and boards, you could easily slip one of these into their hands and they just flip through this bad boy. We're like, oh, that's an awesome cover. I love this thing. And then they're like, oh, well, how much? And I'm like, oh, the comics are this much. He's like, no. How much is this? Like they ask you.
Right. Nice.
So, but
Cool.
yeah, I mean, there's so many things you can put into it, and I've seen a lot of people do a lot of different things. A bunch of comics launchers have put in like they asked somebody to write, a little thing to put at the beginning. I forget what they call that.
A forward.
Yes, a forward. Thank you. They put forwards in there. They have all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's just the things that make it stand out from the floppies. I put extra story content that I use for stretch goals. Like, so I as people probably know, I hire, friend writers and say, hey, write a 4-page story. This is kind of like a director's cut of what I wanted to do. Here's the idea. Take it and make it yours. And as Travis said, he's worked with my baby more than enough that he and I do have. Yeah. So again, these are things that you could do. You could have guest artists, guest writers, guest whatevers. Pull if you have guests. What's nice is that like you could then cross promote with their audience for your book as well. If they've never heard of you or whatever, but they've heard of, Travis or, whoever, or Mark, JD, Brayden, their people are coming in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, I guess one question I have with the hardcover and the soft cover. So should they be everything inside be the same on both, or should I add more to the hardcover other than the?
For the most part, I would say mostly the same. For me, like the only differences is so there's like from like this point here, it's the same, but like this is like a little bit. It's a different paper format that they use to like also coat the back of the hardcover. So that's kind of like something that they also do. It's kind of like an inside cover page or whatever they call it. I also add, the vellum, which not everybody does. But like that other stuff is something that you could probably play with to make it kind of still do a little extra branding on that. Like I said, so, but yeah, this is another, like, so this is kind of like how they like cover the binding.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's, different tricks of their trade that they tell you like, hey, we need this, but for the most part, the insides are mostly the same.
Yeah.
I think, for my soft cover, instead of having like that extra, weird textury background, I had like an ad for Snowpaw that I threw in the back of the Nightwolf one, just to throw that in there but like, again, that's technically inside cover, which is different from the guts.
Right. Cool.
All right. So, Sean, did that help?
Yeah.
He's like, I've been taking notes. I'm going to go back and rewatch.
Yeah, exactly. It's online. I can watch it all again.
There you go. All right, cool. So, all right. Well, we can talk about a few other things, guys. With these, it's not like my Sunday show. We run through these really quick. So, Mark, start talking fast, brother.
Designated is about 2 warring alien races fighting over a new discovered power source. War finds its way to planet Earth as a result. Some humans gain abilities. It's on Crowdfunder with no E, and you can actually buy the book right now, and it has been on sale for quite some time. We have original pages. We have trading cards. We have figurines you can get. We actually have the radio play on there that we did of the first issue. And we also have an introduction by Troma's Lloyd Kaufman. Do you want to play that for like 2 seconds?
Hold on.
So it's up. Oh, the cover is by Russ Braun, who does The Boys, and inks are by Peter Palmiotti, who's Jimmy's brother.
It's right there in the. Go back up to the cover image. See the little play button in the bottom corner down there.
Enjoy the amazing Troma Presents comic book premiere of Mr. Mark Torres comic book called Designated. It's going to be an amazing event in 2023.
That is Lloyd Kaufman, the creator of Troma. He was the one that presented our show at the New York Comic Con.
Nice.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
So everybody go pick up a copy. Link is in the show notes. Very nice. Very nice. Brayden, you're up.
Hey, Sketch Night is a Rook City Universe comic. That means that it takes place. Thank you for saving it. That means it takes place in Rook City, which is the same city that Haven takes place in. There's two stories that go side by side. Sketch Night follows William Wilds as he navigates high school and dealing with his powers. The powers themselves are a magical sketchbook that allows him to create things like his costume, suck things into the book like the guns you're going to see, and manipulate the environment with the things he draws. It's about friendship, fighting bad guys, and yeah, it's a good looking book.
All right. When are you looking to launch?
Early July is what we're aiming for.
All right, cool. Very nice, very nice. So everybody, you can sign up now. Go sign up, damn it.
Get notified.
Yes. All right. Whoa. All right. So it's funny. I was looking for this thing right here that interferes with everybody's image.
Yep. Yeah.
But you know what? But here's the thing: you can click it, you can see it, it's there. With a little down at the bottom there, you had to look for it.
Yeah, I had to look for it because I'm used to it being here. That's why it's weird. All right. So, Sean, what do we? I'm not gonna play the video. I'm just gonna.
Don't worry about that. So the Fog Within 1 through 4. Basically, there's a catastrophic event in the present of the town of Brooks. A couple days later, Hunter, our main character, has a fight with his newly married wife, Madison. Decides to go on a run, ends up running through some fog, ends up 26 years in the future on the other side of this fog, doesn't know how he got there. They're apparently waiting for him. There's rebels. There's a regime in place. There's an infection from this catastrophic event. Over these years, they've walled off the city, and Damon, that character right there, is in charge with his swarm soldiers. The rebels are trying to take back their city and get out because they're not allowed to go anywhere. And they don't know what's going on. And over the issues, Hunter has learned this fog comes from him, hence the Fog Within. And he learns about his abilities and starts training. In the second issue, put a spotlight on some of these rebels. Craziness ensues. Issue 3, he has learned the ability. He's now ready to take on the big bad. He feels like at some point in this issue that he fails his new family, these rebels, and decides to go off on his own to try to take them on. And then we start these first 5 pages of issue 4, showcasing him starting to take them on. And it doesn't look like it's going so well on his own. And all the rebels have been culminating to this spot for different reasons to try to help him, try to help other rebels that are in danger. And this is 24 pages of the 4th issue. Pretty much 20 out of the 24 is nonstop 90s over the top crazy action, but story driven. And I'm hoping that there's a couple of things, especially at the back, that'll be jaw dropping reveals that I've been waiting for 2.5 years to talk about. But I'll finally have people to be able to see what I've planned all along from the beginning of writing the story.
All right, cool. So, all right. So you have 58 backers. You got a little bit of work to do, but you got 9 days left. But you're almost at your goal. Like I said, I don't think you're gonna have a problem getting there. Yeah. So, all right, cool. So everybody, again, in the show notes, click the link, buy a book.
Do it now.
Now.
Get to the chopper. See, like I said, these voiceover things, I would just have too much fun with it.
There you go.
It wouldn't even be what you'd be looking for.
All right, Rob, what do we got with Snowpaw?
All right, so we are coming up on issue 4 of Snowpaw. I wish I could give you a more definitive date, but as I said, we're really late on pages. So yeah, we're hoping to launch probably end of July-ish. Cool. I say with a hopeful voice. But yeah, Snowpaw is a story about a young woman who is born on a farm in Scotland in the 19th century, and she is betrothed to a rich man's son in order to save said farm from failing because at this time, this is when all the people were leaving the Highlands and getting into factories and were crossing over to the Americas. And during the engagement party, she is noticed by a high-class werewolf who discovers her existence, which just so happens that she also was born a werewolf without her knowledge. And the werewolf follows her back to her family farm and triggers her first transformation, and all hell ensues.
As it tends to do.
Exactly.
All right, very nice, very nice. Is this the final issue in the limited series?
So this is the final issue of this story arc.
Okay.
She is so popular that I cannot just end it on there.
Right.
So I will be starting a new story arc. I'm debating on whether I should continue it as issue 5 or leave this as volume 1 and then do a volume 2, 1 through 4.
Right.
I've been going back and forth on that for a while now, to be honest. But you know, it's nice because like it works out too because I tend to collect my trades into 4 issues.
Mhm.
Even though like this is Nightwolf volume 1, it has 4 issues. It's of 12, so you know that's but it's an ongoing 12. Whereas this, like I said, I'm kind of debating, you know, whether I should break it up or not.
Yeah, I would personally start over. You know what I mean? I mean, I would start with a new number 1.
Right,
I mean,
right.
the next arc. That's what I mean.
Fair.
It sounded like you meant just scrap everything and just start all over again.
No.
This is crap. Oh, Rob, why?
Rewrite it.
Terrible.
Note to self: don't do this.
Look, I haven't read it yet. I don't know this. You know, I have to wait till Daphne gets her copy.
It's yeah. You guys are trade waiters. See, Sean, they're your trade waiting people.
That's true. We are trade waiters. And speaking of trades, here's my trade. My Time with Clive, Volume 2. This is a color book, which I don't do a lot of. But this was in full color.
So this is one of the ones I need to back then, right? Because I'm always confused on which ones I'm supposed to back.
Yeah. So this is My Time with Clive. This is what I call the Clive cycle, where Oswald's in a dream and he spends a good amount of time in dream. While he's there, he runs across this young baby angel, and this angel is lost in dream. He was initially enslaved by some demons, and Oswald rescues him. And Oswald promises this kid, this baby, that he would help him find his parents. And lo and behold, him being an angel, where would his parents be? In hell. So Oswald travels to hell to recover his parents. And that's this story, you know, in a nutshell. So, and there's a couple of other stories in there that I'm looking to put in there as stretch goals. And what's funny is I put the pages up for this is one of the stories that is one of the extra stories that I want to put in there. But you know, this is what is it? This was called Planetary Dreaming. It's actually an homage to the comic book Planetary by Warren Ellis. So, but yeah, it's we got 22 days ago. We just launched it yesterday. We're 31 backers. We already passed our goal, but you know, as anything, we need more. So please go check it out when you get a chance. Thank you.
Very nice.
All right. So yeah, that's my thing. You know, mice, babies, hell. You know, that's the sort of thing I enjoy. Yeah.
Not usually all together. Sometimes.
But sometimes, you know, it's like peanut butter and jelly. You know. Sometimes you want them together. Sometimes you want them apart. All right. So we still got a few minutes, right? So does anybody have any generalized questions? Maybe that, you know, maybe all of us can take a poke at.
Does anybody have the winning lottery numbers for next week's lotto?
4, 7, 9, 3, 2, 48, 72, and 89.
Someone just got rich right there.
There you go.
Copy those numbers, folks.
And JD's like, damn it, I didn't play it.
Yeah. Hell, I didn't even write those numbers down.
But you can go back and rewatch them.
That's true. That's true. This is immortalized on YouTube. All right. Aside from winning lotto numbers, does anyone have any a question pertaining to independent comics?
What is the biggest surprise that you guys have found now that you didn't think of when you first decided to start in the comic world?
That's fair.
Surprise! Wow.
Mhm. All right. Seeing as Rob is shocked, I think he should go first.
I was. I would say diamond is still a thing. that shocks the shit out of me. Like, how is that after that whole like debacle with their,
Not for much longer.
Yeah, no.
yeah, but they keep it's like they keep coming back like a bad zit.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a zombie at this point. It's a zombie.
I think when they owe people $500,000 and are saying sorry, we're not paying it. That's a
yeah. Or they're like demanding the retailers to give them their credit card information so they could charge them.
right.
Oh, yeah. That's
Crazy.
Yeah. Brayden, you have a thought on that? Well, like what?
Yeah. Too surprised. Well, I guess I would say I'm surprised how much I love doing comics. When I first started out doing Haven, I just kind of had it as like a homage to my uncle and kind of one and done kind of thing, and just fell in love with it, and going strong and continuing on. So that was just a surprise that you find something you love. And then second surprise, I was surprised not knowing anything about how like comics work or anything like that in terms of like getting into stories and everything. I was surprised that even if you do hit like a dark horse, like a, you know what I mean? It's not like you're set kind of thing, where it's like
Nah,
you get the big deal, and it's still like a push and like constant so that was a surprise for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why when you go to those creator-owned publishers, and then you're like, oh, I'm still doing all the work. Cool.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But it's like that at Image as well. It's not even.
But Image technically is creator-owned still.
Yeah.
So that was my point. But if you were to sell your stuff to the old Mighty Mouse and at Marvel and and what Ted Turner at the DC.
Yeah, I mean, but then you don't own it.
Exactly. But that's my point. It's the creator owned versus like, okay, now you sold your idea. If they market it, they market it. But if it's your idea, it's like, well, you gotta market it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Sean.
I'd say a good surprise and a bad but turn into a good surprise, I guess. First thing I say on a lot of podcasts is when I first started, I thought instantly that I could easily do $4,000 and I'm gonna quit my job eventually. Not many people are doing this, and realize, oh wait, there's a lot of creators that do this.
and barely any of them have quit their day job.
Right, exactly. So in a way, that was a good bad surprise, just because if I knew what went into it when I first started, I might not have actually done it. So being naive, I am actually glad, because I enjoy it. Like Brayden said, it boggles my mind that if I ever didn't do that first one, like where would I be now? Just because the sheer fact that I had my own comic is freaking amazing. And it's totally worth all the struggle. So that was one surprise. But then also, I always thought when I started, I was only going to do The Fog Within. I planned to do 12 issues and everything, and didn't think I had any other stories in mind. And another creator pushed me and said, hey, you need to do another story. And about a month later, I had Recon the Little One. And now I'm doing a third story. Didn't think I was going to do that either. So it's just building and I'm doing a couple anthologies as well. And just growing my story writing abilities was a lot of fun. And that was a surprise, because I just thought I was going to do this one thing and then just try to stay focused on that. But now I'm just having fun I'm literally doing 3 different series, getting art and colors and everything back on a constant basis all the time now. And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely an addiction. Once you get it, like you still get started, you're like, I want to do more. I want to do more.
Yeah.
I want to do more.
Yep. I got 2 different pages today from 2 different series, and it's just insane.
That's a good day.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Let me see. For myself, the thing that's always shocked me the most is how many of my fellow creators I hate. No, I'm only joking.
Good night.
Well, all right. Good night, folks.
Oh, yeah.
No. The thing is, the thing that I think that still surprises me is how many people have that reaction to creating their comics. Because I'm the same way. I've been doing it, I'm pretty sure, longer than everybody else. It's that it gets into your blood, right? Yeah. And it gets into your brain. And I've seen people leave, and like I'll run into them a year or two later, and they'll be like, "Yo, man, how do I get back in?" Right? And then they'll just come back, and they'll just like, "How do I get back in here?" You know, and it just never leaves your blood because you always want to make more. You know, and I've seen guys gone for 10 years, 12 years, and they just show up again. They're like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna do another book." You know, because they I guess whatever happened that got them out, they straightened it out. Now they're coming back. But yeah, it's that love that we all have for creation. You know, that really, really, I find great because I mean, there's all of us. You can watch baseball or watch a football game, but you're living vicariously through somebody else's actions. I mean, these are the things that we create with our own hands, our own minds. You understand? Whereas, like I said, those other things, they're fun and they're nice, but those are other people's victories, not really ours. We cheer for them, we're happy for them, right? But these are our victories, right?
Well, it also feels like you have a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like it's like when you're watching somebody else do something, or you're just watching TV or other forms of entertainment, like there, or even if you're just reading another comic book, those are nice things to relax to or whatever, that kind of mellows you out. But like in the same sense, so like when we're doing this as an enjoyable thing, like it's also building something, right? It's you're having a sense of like accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Mark, what has surprised you? So answer your own question.
The biggest surprise is 2 things. Number 1, how long it took to make the comic.
Oh yeah,
30 years is a long time.
Yeah, 30 years is a long time. Yeah, to make one book, sure.
And the second thing that surprised me most is the community, like how, for the most part, how cool everybody is and how everybody wants everybody else to succeed. Mm-hmm. That really surprised me because you see like the Hollywood people, they don't like each other, or different other entertainments, they aren't always together. But I guess because we all have gone through the struggle in various levels, we all know how it is for the other guy, and we're all rooting for everybody to succeed. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, you want your book to sell, but you don't want it to sell over the other guy. You want the other guy to do well as well. And I think that's the biggest surprise over the years, how consistently, how awesome the community is for the most part.
I feel that someone else's success does not make me a loser. Okay? That's how I feel about it. There's some people who I've encountered, they're like, no, you're all my competition, blah, 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 blah. And, typically those people, I usually feel like, well, you suck anyway, so you don't really matter. So, but for everybody else, is like, if someone else is a success, that's just good. You understand? To be honest with you, and look, I mean, as much as I like to bag on Marvel and DC, I don't even want to see them fail. I want to see them succeed. It just helps having a healthy community, right?
I would like them to write better stories.
Yes. Better stories.
Sure. What I would really like them to do is shrink their lines.
That's just it. Let them focus on writing the better stories with less stuff. I think the people would buy it more.
Yeah, but the current brain trusts that are up there, they're not getting it.
No, well, I mean, look at the Disney movies that have come out in the last how many years? I mean, come on, they're all.
Oh well,
perfect.
Different group of brain trust people.
But it's all coming from the same barking orders.
Yeah.
You'd be
Produce
surprised.
garbage. Produce garbage.
Oh, I don't think that's necessarily the marching order, but that's just unfortunately what's happening.
I mean, it's a simplification of what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah. I mean, but in comics, yeah, it's one of those things. But it'd be nice if they wrote better stories. Because one of the other reasons I don't really want them to do that because then I just end up buying more stuff. And I like to focus more on the indies than.
I mean, honestly, like I think the only thing that I buy at my local comic book store anymore is like the colored editions of The Walking Dead, because again, I don't know what it is. I just do not want to read black and white comics. I'm sorry for anybody who has them. It's nothing against you. It's just my eyes do not like black and white with text in black and white. It's just hard to read.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about the big companies that are out there, the pendulum has shifted, because I mean, in the 90s they were pumping out so much stuff, then they went back. Then they're like, oh, we're making money now, let's make out more stuff. But on the same line with JD is that if they're putting out crap as quote unquote crap, yes, it makes the other people more enticing. So keep on putting out crap, so that way more people look at what else is out there.
Yeah, but the problem is with them is that they put out so much crap that they only give the retailers an opportunity to buy their crap and not have any leftover money to buy our stuff. Yeah, right? and that's been their game plan for years.
Yeah, I mean, like you have the people who go to their local comic shop and they have like a subscription box, and they're just like, oh, put any X title, any Spider-Man title, any Batman title, and like their box is full, like in 1 week.
Yeah. Oh, and before we go, I just want to tell everyone, I saw the movie The Ballerina this weekend. If you like John Wick, go see Ballerina. It was actually a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. All right. So, all right. So we made it to the hour and a half. Thank you, gentlemen. You guys were all great as usual. Brayden, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Haven Comic on all social media platforms. HAVENCOMIC.
All right, cool. Sean?
I am Sean Wood _writer on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Reddit, somewhat on TikTok. On Facebook, I don't know what I am because of things that happened last campaign, but I am on there. Just search my name and you'll find me. I still haven't looked it up to see what it is because Sean Wood _writer is now deleted by Facebook. Thank you. But yeah, and then of course on the live Kickstarter right now, The Fog Within 1 through 4, and it's live until next Friday, which is June 27th, I think, at 8 p.m.
All right, cool. Mark?
So just Google It Came From the Radio. We're a syndicated radio show. If you're actually living in New York, we're on 88.1 FM WARY. We're also on 1240 AM WGBB, as well as 95.5 FM WGBB. We're also on sci-fi.radio on Wednesdays. We're on BTD Radio on Thursdays. We're also on 45 different podcast places. So if you listen to podcasts, our show is available as a podcast. Whatever podcast place you listen to, we're on there. And if not, let me know and I'll get us on there.
Cool. Rob?
Yeah, you can find me at all things Lone Wolf Comics, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, whatever. I got it. It's a social media thing. I got it. I may not always use it, but I got it. But you can find me personally at Rob Multari at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. LoneWolfComics.com is my website. You can visit there, learn more about my books. You can also go to my website shop there where you can pick up back issues, or you could go to any of my past Kickstarters, find the backer kit pre-order and get like the current one. So nightwolf.com or nightwolf.lonewolfcomics.com will take you to the pre-order for issue 10. And then snowpaw.lonewolfcomics.com will take you to the pre-launch page for Snowpaw issue 4.
All right, cool. And I'm JD Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places, DeviantArt. And most Sunday nights here, this Sunday we'll be back. It's going to be an exceptionally excellent show because Jay is not going to be there. So But no seriousness. He's taking a vacation. He's going to be down in Georgia. He's going to Joe Fest. So if you're down there, go check him out. He's going to be showing off his toys, and good luck to him with that. He'll be back the following weekend. And if he's not, then we'll have another great show. But
Jay's heading down to Georgia. He is looking to sell his toys.
So just remember, everybody, please check out the show notes. In those show notes is that all the links to all these various campaigns. Please click on those links, check out those books, and buy them. These creators are doing great books. They're making fantastic content. So please go check out those books, and don't forget, everyone, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night. Thank you.